welcome back. It is week 29 on Out on That Line. Heh, that rhymed. I'm Geoff, here with my co-host Alex. As always, Alex, how we doing this week?
Geoff, I'm feeling like a winner. In spite of the fact that we have inherited this Lana Del Rey album for the week, I'm feeling like a winner. Do you know why?
Why is that?
Because we're announcing our contest winner, Geoff.
Excellent. It feels like we all won with this contest. Is that right?
It honestly does. I feel like we can all share in the recipient's joy.
Yes. And did you want to reveal the recipient? Maybe explain a little about the contest first?
Yeah, okay. So I made new YouTube art, and in doing that, I laid out a bunch of albums, my favorites, some ones we've covered on the show that I happen to own.
Mm-hmm.
So I made this collage, and then I was looking at it, and I'm like, it's pretty eye-catching. I'm pretty proud of it. No big deal. And I want to do something with this, so I'm just going to put it on the Instagram, and then I had the idea, hey, there's 26 albums here. I know what they are. Do you? How big of a music fan are you? If you, closest to the hole is going to win a commemorative sticker. And if you can get all 26, you get a shirt. And nobody got all 26, but somebody did get closest to the hole. Would you like to reveal who it was, Geoff?
Yes, I think what you need to do in this one, and this is going to be, I'm lifting the curtain here a little bit. Sorry for Out on That Line fans. I think you need to add a little drum roll in here right now. It is Dante Rossi. Congratulations, Dante. You are the winner. You can expect Alex's, not only his firstborn, but some Out on That Line merch.
Dante, you're not just a winner in real life, you're a winner on the pod. And I would argue that's more meaningful than your house, than your wife, than your child. You're going to get 2 stickers that I made, and you really can't put a price on that. Although I am happy to bill you for the shipping if you really feel like you insist on paying it.
Well, you never know. NFTs are going for crazy money right now, so eventually I feel like that's going to boomerang right back, and real tangible goods are going to be the name of the game.
Tangible and non-fungible. That's what I always say.
Yeah. Fuck non-fungible. We like the fungible stuff.
Rory is supposed to be making me like a crypto baron. He said he was going to turn a bunch of my art into NFTs, and I haven't seen a red cent.
Just buy Dogecoin. Just every dollar you have, every red cent you make, buy the Doge.
Okay, I'll do that.
Buy the dip, buy the Doge.
Done. Good enough for me. I didn't understand a word of it, and that's exactly what I like.
To the moon, baby.
All
to
right.
the moon. Yes. So, again, congratulations, Dante. Look for that stuff in 3 to 6 months or so. USPS is just really behind, so you'll get it eventually. Make sure you let us know when you do. Make sure you let us know if you don't. We'll do our best to get it to you. If that means that I have to drive up to the Champlain Valley myself, I will do so. I will get you that sticker. Stickers. 2,
yeah,
right?
It's 2. I promised
Dose.
1. I'm giving 2.
Man, you can't see. What other podcast are you getting that kind of treatment?
I would say you think Mark Maron's doing this for his fans? He doesn't give a shit about you.
He doesn't give a shit about anything.
Yeah, truly.
He made the Glow was a good show, but I'm not a big Mark Maron guy overall.
I go back and forth, but I guess that's a story for another day. We'll review his album on vinyl sometime. How about that?
He has a vinyl album?
Not musically. Mitchell. The only reason I know is I was with Mitchell when he went and bought it at Pure Pop. So if anyone ever said who would buy Mark Maron on vinyl, the answer is Mitch.
Of course. I feel like Mitchell's vinyl collection, I feel like I haven't seen it. I know he buys Pink Floyd like crazy. That's about all I know. It has to be probably, I would guess, one of the most off-the-wall, incoherent vinyl collections that anybody owns on this planet.
It is decidedly eclectic. He's got everything from Gorillaz to Shania Twain in there, and I am not making any of that up.
Shania Twain?
He's a big Shania guy.
Well, who isn't?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
My God.
She was bringing the heat. She was throwing 95 on the black for sure.
She still is. I mean, God bless the USA, even though she's Canadian.
Yeah, she may not have the absolute gas fastball anymore, but she's the crafty veteran now, where
Yep.
she's still effective, still going to carry the team to the playoffs. Just a very easy on the eyes, very easy on the ears as well.
That's
Just a
true.
wonderful little songstress.
She's blue chip. She's blue chip. That's
Yes,
for sure.
yes. The real life Tammy Taylor, maybe.
Oh man, that's a good call. Oh, bringing
Yeah,
a little Clear Eyes, Full Hearts Can't Lose into it.
can't lose, baby, can't
Which
lose.
is horribly ironic because I think we lost in having to review this week's album.
We lost big time. We should have known better. We should have known better than to do this album. I think we both knew what it was going to be like. We should have known better.
Here's the thing. I think we did know better, but again, we are a podcast of the people, for the people, by the people. And Lana Del Rey, like it or not, is a big release when she comes out with an album. I mean, I don't know. I can't remember which one it was. I've done very strange scattershot research on her this week. It might have been Norman fucking Rockwell. I believe in 2019 it was considered like a decade ender top 10 album. I mean,
No.
people wet themselves over Lana Del Rey. I do not understand it whatsoever.
No.
But she's got a career.
No.
So, I mean, we try to give the people big releases. We try to open their eyes to indie acts. We try to mix it up. This was an inevitability. It's like Thanos. We were always going to have this confrontation.
Yeah, it was. I mean, and she snapped big time on this album. And I'm not talking like Twitter speak. I'm not talking like a good thing. She snapped like Thanos snapped. Like, I wish that I disintegrated before I had to hear this album.
Mm-hmm. That's truly the experience.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, for both how we felt about this album and Avengers.
Yeah, it was, we'll get into it later. There was something that you wanted to do first before we get into the absolute summertime sadness
Good one.
of the Lana Del Rey. There was something you wanted to bring up first. And this is off the cuff. I don't know anything about what he's about to spring on me. I've been nervous. I'm in a cold sweat right now. So Alex, lay it on me.
Okay. Well, we need a little context first. So I'll ask you, Geoff, what is your understanding of Lana Del Rey, the person?
As far as I know, she is married to a police officer, or seriously in a serious relationship with one, which is odd. I don't like cops. I don't like people that are married to cops, generally. It's a general rule in my life. I feel like so far it's served me well. She seems like the epitome of the indie girl that we have both said we've kind of grown tired of in recent weeks. And overall, she strikes me as a very shallow person that thinks she's as deep as an ocean, but it's more like a puddle.
Yes, to all of that. I would say all of that was terribly accurate. And to drill down further into the problematic politics of Lana Del Rey,
Oh, let's do it.
she has kind of outed herself as the poster girl for white privilege, but is doing everything she can to push back against that, only to have the effect of feeding it further. So she literally tries to combat accusations of white privilege by saying, "Don't you dare call me racist," which is not at all helping her case. And there are too many incidents to name. I mean, she, at one point, I forget what triggered it, but she went on this long tirade on Instagram about, like, oh, okay, so I get accused of glamorizing abuse because all of my music is about some tragic American existence that I didn't even have. I'm an aesthetic. I'm like Steely Dan, but I suck. And everything about me is a fabrication. So I don't understand why people are starting to reject that, and they just want women who sing about their big fat asses. She specifically names Doja, the fucking cat, man. She brought the fucking cat into this. I will
Can't
not
do
abide.
that on this podcast. Can't do that here.
Beyonce, FKA Twigs, said some nasty shit about Twigs. Kelani. she just name dropped all these women of color and boiled all of their music down to just shaking their asses and singing about sex and how that's not empowerment. Twigs learning how to dance on the stripper pole is not reclaiming sexuality. Lana Del Rey in yellow fucking dishwashing gloves and pearls is femininity and class and real womanhood. This white bread shithead that she is.
Gross.
Yeah. So that's necessary context, all of that, for my bit. Which is, I took the liberty of coming up with some alternate titles for Chemtrails Over the Country Club. And I need your help picking them. Okay,
let's do it. Am I just giving like a thumbs up or a thumbs down? Or am I picking my favorites of what you name?
I mean, I have some groupings, like some topical groupings. So like, for instance, Chemtrails Over the Country Club, as we'll get into with our discussion. I'm not sure she knows what chemtrails are or what she meant by that.
Okay.
I think she just likes stuff that sounds dangerous, but she also doesn't really want to alienate the bougie people that buy her albums. So you got to pick something that kind of serves both of those purposes. So these names are kind of a play on the Chemtrails Over the Country Club thing.
Okay.
The first one is Gas Leak at the Gun Show. The next one is Plastered at Planned Parenthood. Drone Strikes Over the Diamond Store. And White Privilege at the Waffle House. If you had to pick one of those four, we'll bracket it. What do you think?
I think as far as kind of encompassing the entirety of her being, I feel like White Privilege at the Waffle House. That was the one that tripped me pretty good, because she does remind me of just like white bread with a little bit of mold on it. So that to me kind of fits in with that vibe.
But also, can't you see her getting into an argument with a black waitress at a Waffle House somewhere? She's like on
just
tour in
me being
Arkansas.
Here means I'm not racist.
Yeah, right. Just mouthing off to someone that's been working like a 14-hour shift. I mean,
asking about her experience, making her be the spokesman for her entire race.
Yeah, right. I felt good because I left a 25% tip.
Yeah, I listened and I left a good tip.
On a $200 bill. Okay. So these next ones are a little cerebral because Lana Del Rey's lyrics are interesting. People have called her a very talented songwriter.
Okay.
And I would ask them, how can you understand what she's saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't think her brain and her mouth are completely connected. Or she had like an episode of Bell's palsy or something, or like cuts all of her albums after a trip to the dentist. I haven't really figured it out.
Okay.
I just know that I can't understand a fucking word she's saying half the time.
Mm-hmm.
So with that in mind, I present to you 3 options for that category.
Okay.
The first one is, I want to get on it, and I want to get on it. The second one is, I don't want to get on it, and I'm not to be outdone, there's the third option. I want to get on it. So out of those, which one do you like the best?
Well, I think the was the one that I liked the best, just because it sounds exactly like us at about 2:30 a.m. after one of those dollar PBR nights at Gusto's.
You're not wrong. I was hitting those well drinks pretty hard while you guys were deep in your pitchers. Let me tell you, I just got a cold shiver down my spine.
Oh, those were the days.
Okay. These next 3 are grouped together based on her terrible white girl politics. These are fairly straightforward.
Okay, I'm going to love this.
Mermaids can be Karens too. I demand to sing to your manager. And finally, Plandemic.
Oh, God. You know, do you think that before I pick Let Me Sing to Your Manager, because that's going to be the pick. Well, I guess I just picked it. But Plandemic, do you think she's one of those wackos that thinks it was a government conspiracy?
As we get into the album, my answer will become more clear. Let's just say she wore a mesh mask to a book signing.
Like just mesh? Like just
yeah, like
okay.
a Eurotrash like fishnet tank top over her face.
Okay, so it's like trying to. So basically, if you were trying to like hold water with a basket, that
Sure.
kind of idea.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So you get it.
So useless. Well, I bet it's probably that mask is probably more useful than any of the songs on this album.
That's an apt metaphor, actually. A mask full of holes during a deadly pandemic is an excellent metaphor for Lana Del Rey, because what is that mask? It's useless.
Absolutely useless, and not only useless, cumbersome.
Indeed. Fair point, Jeff. Fair point.
Like Seven Mary 3, she has become cumbersome.
So if you had to pick between White Privilege at the Waffle House and I Demand to Sing to Your Manager, which one you give it to?
I think as far as, so two thoughts here. So Let Me Sing to Your Manager, I think is the funnier one, is the more like, kind of straight to the point funnier one. But the alliteration in White Privilege at the Waffle House does have a certain ring to it rolling off the tongue. So it's going to be a narrow victory for Let Me Sing to Your Manager, but it's a strong second place for White Privilege at the Waffle House.
Okay. Well, I guess there's always next album.
Yeah, she's going to try again, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We haven't been able to file an injunction to get her to stop. So.
Well, we could look into that.
Yeah, I think we should. Quite frankly, I would like to sue for time lost and emotional just fucking damages here.
Yeah, and emotional damages indeed from this album. I mean, there was one point I just kind of like took my headphones off and had to take a break. I was like, okay, I can't do more of this right now. And came back, like played some Far Cry or something on Xbox and came back a little bit later. But it was just not great.
No, in fact, it was very, very bad, Jeff. I had a very upsetting experience with this album.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just, I don't know, was that, so did you have any more for your segment there?
That's it. No.
Okay, I like that a lot. You should do more surprise segments. I enjoyed that. I was nervous, but I had a lot of fun with that.
All right, cool. Maybe I'll do that.
Yeah, I was worried I was going to get into a Skimbo trap. And while I love the Skimbo Lounge, and folks, go listen to the Skimbo Lounge if you haven't yet, that podcast gets a little more blue than we get on this one. So I was like, what's he going to do? What's he going to do? But it was nice.
Yeah, no, you have something to live for. Rory does not, so I'm okay. Springing
it was a
damning
topical
traps
segment
on him. Yes.
So yeah, why don't we just go ahead and just get into this absolute disgrace of a musical experience.
Mm-hmm. Get out your best pearl necklace and your Moscow Mule, and let's strap in. Yeah,
it's to me, I really, I know we had talked about the kind of indie girl burnout that we were both experiencing in recent weeks. This was a whole nother level of disappointing. Even if this had been the first one, so there was that level that it added to where I was like, oh, another indie girl, another album that doesn't have a lot of very exciting parts musically. It's like, but maybe it'll be fine. And then it just really wasn't. Even if we had listened to this before any of the rest of it, that kind of got us on that train of being a little bit sick of it, this would be a terrible album. Any way you slice it. You slice it in 10 pieces, it's bad. You slice it in 2 pieces, it's bad. However many ways you want to cut it, it's bad. And I don't know who really, how can you really enjoy this, is my question. Because there's a lot, like you said, she's very popular. There's a lot of Lana Del Rey fans. And I challenge you, if you're listening to this podcast, I challenge you to tell me what it is about this album that is any good whatsoever.
Well, my instinct is to just write it off as music for stupid people, but I understand we have friends and family members and fans who enjoy Lana Del Rey quite a bit, so instead I'll say it's music for exceptional individuals. What you are the exception to, you can guess for yourself.
Yes. Yeah. We should certainly stay a little more PC on this podcast, but there's a lot of things running through my mind.
Yeah.
About what sort of person listens to this music and gets a lot of enjoyment out of it.
We wouldn't want to offend the white woman lobby.
Yes. And while I'm fine with that, I'm not just going to outright do it.
Sure,
You
exactly.
know,
We have a little more
if that's a
class.
collateral damage, that's fine. But that's not my main target here.
No, and quite frankly, I have larger concerns about this album and about Lana Del Rey as a person. Because, like you say, she's the prototypical indie girl, but she's not indie anymore. I mean, I realize indie has turned into a genre more than a method of making your music or making your art or making your film.
Yeah.
But she's just so mainstream and like too big to fail at this point. But fail is all she does, in my eyes. I don't get it. I do not get how she could be put on decade-ending best of the decade lists.
No.
I went back and listened to all of her shit in preparation for this, being like, I don't know, maybe there's something early on that's kind of interesting. No, it's always just like, it's music that you fucking drown in the pool to because you did a whole bar of Xanny. That just washed out wow, 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 and her just marble mouth over the whole thing. I'm convinced she doesn't actually know how to sing, which is why she does the breathy whisper thing. We'll get to that.
Oh, we'll get to that.
I fundamentally do not understand her, or the appeal of her, or this album, because this is supposed to be an album about the dark side of fame and the music industry. But I would argue it's more of a like white nationalist manifesto than anything. Like if you told me that this was a coded message to a militia out in Montana, like give them hell, boys, like I would believe that easier than I would. This is about any coherent theme of fame and the dark side of the entertainment industry. At what point does she take a position on any of that? It's all fucking nonsense.
But I think to go along with what you're saying about, you know, militia and that sort of thing, like Randy Quaid just got mobilized. Like that guy definitely heard something in this album, and that's his militia is on the hunt now after this one came out.
Christ.
Yeah. I wonder, I'm looking at the lyrics now. I was like, I wonder, is this one of those ones where the first letter of each word or of each line spells something out? But no, it's like STLB. WLIY. Like it doesn't. Well, maybe those stand for different things. I don't know. We're gonna have to. This might be a deeper dive.
Somebody call Q. Let Q know we've got a mystery on our hands.
Yeah, because I mean, what is on the album just that you hear with your plain ear? That can't be all. Because this was supposed to be good.
Well, let's get right into the first song, White Dress. I mean, right there. White Dress.
Yeah.
Now, I realize we're being tongue-in-cheek about this whole idea that Lana Del Rey might be a white supremacist. You know, I think is funny as hell and makes a ton of sense. But we're having some fun with it. But white imagery comes up an awful lot in her music, and especially in this song. And I would just like to read to you the sidebar that they have on Genius for the lyrics to this song.
Okay.
Lana has mentioned the word white many times in the past. The color white often symbolizes purity and innocence, and white robes are worn to convey spiritual purity. It isn't surprising that white became associated with purity, as even the smallest drop of dye or a smudge of dirt destroys the color. Now, if that is not a white nationalist dog whistle right there, you tell me what is.
I mean, I would tell you I can hear the dog whistle, but I'm not a dog, so I can't hear it. But yes, you're right. That I did, and as soon as you said white dresses in the intonation that you did, I was like, oh, that's what it is. I knew where you were about to go with that, and I think you're right, man. You know,
it's hilarious. Like whoever wrote that, I think clearly doesn't see Lana Del Rey the way that she is, which is she's a fucking Karen. Like all of this Karen, like people that praise her album don't do it in the right way for her liking, so she just drags them on Instagram. I truly do not understand her mentality. So to write this whole thing about white and purity and all that stuff, and like it's very funny when you know that she's a raging Karen.
Yeah, and I don't think there's any question about that. I mean, I think we have to throw she's allegedly a raging Karen just to save ourselves from any sort of legal action, because I think she's a big enough Karen to take some. I think it's terrible. This song started out and I was like, oh my God, like what have I done? Because I knew, I always look at kind of the time, like the length of an album, on Spotify, look how long it is to make sure that I allot enough time to be able to like pause it when I need to, if I gotta like make sure I take notes, so I don't miss any of the album. I make sure I spend that time, and I'm like, okay, I have 45 more minutes of this. Like as soon as it started, she does this weird like whisper falsetto in this song, and it's so bad. And I'm sure she thinks that she's like being very quirky and singing like in a way that's very interesting, and it's just like ice picks in my eardrums. It was terrible.
It's awful. She's all over the place. Sometimes she does the like, I'm a little baby, and then other times she does the quaalude. She's all over the fucking place. None of it good. None of it listenable. None of it enjoyable. And as far as this song goes, other than my whole rant about the whole white supremacist bit, I wrote, totally generic song about escaping the pressures of fame. She's also really stretching the concept of whispering to the point of parody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's all you can say.
My note for this one was Antonoff strikes again.
What have you done, Jack?
I really, this guy sucks. Like, really and truly, I don't think I've liked one single thing he's ever done.
I really like Green Light. He did that with Lorde. I really like that song a lot.
Yeah, maybe I've heard something that I like, but everything that I've been like aware of that he's done, like he did a bunch of stuff with our favorite Taylor Swift. That band Bleachers. Sorry, Tanner. Yep. They're bad. I'm very, very anti-Antonoff, like, and have been for a long time. And it's just he's heralded as this big time songwriter, this genius, and I'm like, where do you hear this? Like, what part of what he's done is genius? Like, I don't understand like how he gets all this recognition. Like, you think about some of the great producers, like T-Bone Burnett, for example. Like, you think of those guys, or like George Martin. You think of these like luminaries of that profession, and then you think about Jack Antonoff and like winning the same awards that they did. And it's like, for what?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Again, the Lorde song Green Light I enjoy quite a bit. That's the only thing I can name off the top of my head. I would have to do a deep dive into Antonoff to see if there's anything else that I've ever come across that I've really enjoyed of his. But to me, the idea of the superstar producer is kind of a problem. Unless it's an undeniable talent, just someone who's doing such innovative shit, you can't not crow about it.
Yeah.
I feel like having a celebrity producer is a problem. You're supposed to be a background person. You're supposed to enhance the art that the artist is making. So I'm kind of opposed to Jack Antonoff and the idea of him on those grounds.
Yeah, and also, like, writing credits up and down this album.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's not normally a thing that a producer does, either.
Yeah, I guess she needed all the help she could get on songs like Tulsa Jesus Freak.
Oh, God. Like, it's really bad. And apparently she's been teasing this album for, like, a year or more. Yeah. Like, she's been like, oh, my next album's, this song is going to be on it. And she's been, like, putting these songs together for, like, 2 years now or something like that. And, like, this is what you shit out.
Well, let's move ahead to Chemtrails Over the Country Club. The lead single, the title track. What a fucking pile of garbage. Oh, Geoff.
Yeah.
It's so fucking bad.
It's Taylor Swift for the nostalgic crowd, basically, is what this music is.
People who think the 50s were somehow better. You know what I mean? Like, they all want to cosplay as sexy June Cleaver.
Yeah, like, let me put on my poodle skirt. Like, oh, I know it was racist back then. I know it was just all these bad things were happening, but I just want the good parts.
Yeah, I mostly want to go to a sock hop, and that's good enough for me. I'm doing ketamine at Coachella, but I'll pretend it's a sock hop.
Yeah, and what my question is, like, you hear the name Chemtrails Over the Country Club. Like, to me, I guess not much of a question. I'm just about to make a statement, and I'll ask you to respond. Um, to me, it's like that's the sort of thing where you're like, oh, that's a really like it's a metaphor for something, or it's supposed to have this like deeper meaning. But all it is about her life growing up in, I would guess, a fairly affluent situation, and talking about like, oh, there's just chemtrails over the country club. And she's like, oh, I always liked the conspiracy about those, so I thought it'd be a kind of a cool juxtaposition to say chemtrails over the country club. And it's like, that's useless information. Like, that doesn't... I think you were talking about, how movies, each scene needs to give you more information. It's a waste of a scene if it doesn't advance the story.
Yeah.
I think that's exactly what we get from Lana Del Rey. She comes up with something like chemtrails over the country club, and on the surface, that sounds fine. That sounds like, oh, that's pretty cool. It's a little bit avant-garde. It's a little bit like two things that you don't think should go together. But then you think about it, it's like it means nothing. It's a hollow statement, and it really is disappointing that people seem to think this is like meaningful music.
It's the equivalent of Rupi Kaur stealing a line from Fleetwood Mac. Never have I been a calm blue sea, I have always been the storm.
Yeah.
And she throws it up on Instagram, and all the basic white girls in the land reshare that as if it's relevant to them. They don't know what it means. They've done no introspection. Sorry, I had to like beat up on one group of people, but it's a personality type that I think Lana Del Rey appeals to, which is people that want to seem deep but don't want to actually work for it. Because like you said, chemtrails over the country club means absolutely fucking nothing. Because if you think about the chemtrail conspiracy, the government's trying to mind control or sterilize you. It's over the country club, which is the rich people. Like, are you trying to make a political statement? Because the rest of the song is just you talking about skeezing on the male lifeguard with his big bulge in the front of his Speedo. I interpreted that. That's not an actual lyric. And eating Monte Cristo sandwiches in the 100-degree heat in Connecticut in the middle of the summer. Like, it means nothing. And she mentions astrology and turquoise jewelry and hanging with the ladies. And it's just... It's like tan lines and tailgates level of no work put into the lyrics. And the delivery, I'm not even a little bit exaggerating. She like doesn't move her mouth. I'm on the run with you, my sweet love. Contemplate. What the fuck is that?
What is a live show like with her?
She gets into a little cot that they roll out and puts on a little striped cap and just drinks some chamomile and takes some melatonin and just falls asleep in the middle of her set. I have to imagine.
Yeah, I mean, like, why would you go see this live? Like, why would you ever spend your money on something that is this unexciting?
Maybe you hate yourself.
That you have to.
That's the only explanation.
Actually, you know what? I think it's actually the extreme opposite of that. I think it's people that have no ability to self-reflect and have any sort of perspective about their life compared to what others' lives are like. Those are the people that listen to Lana Del Rey.
Extreme narcissists. They see themselves in her.
Yeah.
Very interesting. I feel so bad because, again, I do know people that listen to Lana Del Rey. Let's be frank. It's a shitty album. We're not necessarily literally making this a referendum on anyone's taste. As always, don't take anything we say about you personally. You just like bad music.
Yeah, it's just a disclaimer. And hopefully this is the only bad music you like. I have a feeling it's not. But, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Why don't we move on to Tulsa Jesus Freak?
Yeah.
And this one... and this one started out and the music was decent. It had a cool little kind of lo-fi beat to it, and I was like, okay, well, we're getting somewhere here. And then once again she started singing, and all hope was lost very quickly on this one.
Well, and that was one of my notes, is I was like, hey, you know what? If this was a Frank Ocean song, I'd love it. It had some interesting sonic hallmarks that reminded me of something he would have done on Blonde, which was a fucking amazing album. I love Frank Ocean. So I'm instead imagining if someone handed him this lump of raw clay and said, "Can you salvage this, Frank?" And he's like, "Baby, I'm Frank Ocean. I can do it." What he would come up with, it's just like Lana Del Rey is so clever, to give her a compliment. She is so clever at finding new and innovative ways of hiding the fact that she can't actually sing.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah. And I don't, so that's the thing is like how, I don't remember when she came on the scene. Like, I don't remember what song it was that popped off that like everybody was like, oh my God, Lana Del Rey is the next great thing. Like, where did it come from? Because she's clearly not a great songwriter. She's clearly not that great at writing lyrics. So like, and if you're not a hugely great singer, like there's plenty of people that were one-hit wonders just because they had the greatest voice that could carry, whatever got written for them. I understand how those songs get popular, but like, where did she come from?
I mean, as far as I know, she was just little Lizzie Grant. She was just some shithead from, I think, maybe Missouri.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think she had a super affluent childhood, but I also don't think she ever really struggled in the industry because she popped on the scene at like 22, 23. So I really don't think there was a lot of paying her dues there.
No.
And I'm remiss in not knowing exactly where she hooked up with someone that put her shit out. But I remember the first time I heard her was senior year of college. Because I was like, everyone's all over this Lana Del Rey chick. I got to check this out. And I listened to the song Video Games, and I was like, I was still in that phase in my life where I was not confident enough to be like, this sucks.
Yeah.
So I'm doing mental gymnastics to be like, well, it's interesting. I want girls that like it to like me. So I like Lana Del Rey.
That's fair. We've all been there.
Sure.
We've all been there. But it's just like, I remember hearing Summertime Sadness, I think is the name of that song.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, this is like I guess okay. You know what I mean? But I'm like, it's never was something I'd go way out of my way to listen to. But it's like, and again, like, I think that was her big hit for a while. And it's like, why did that song beget this? Like, where did the anticipation start for new Lana Del Rey? It's like, there are so many better musicians. Like, what about her, like, just got everybody all up in a tizzy? I just don't understand it.
I would love to have someone explain it to me because it's so interesting. Again, it's this facade that she's created where she's an American tragedy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Her life, her story, it's an American Gothic.
Yeah.
Lana Del Rey's got a lot of pain, and she's lived a very specific experience, and she speaks for fucking everyone. In Tulsa Jesus Freak, she tries to speak for hype beasts in the Deep South. What the hell? I sincerely doubt you've ever met. She's talking about like, oh, the kids in their hoodies dancing. Mm. How quaint. I have observed that often from my tour bus. Yeah, you know, I don't believe for a second she's smoking crystal with these people out at the holler.
And it's the first time in this song that she uses the line, "No more candle in the wind." She recycles that later in the album. I hope I remember to mention it at that point, but it's like, that's how unoriginal it is. She's like, oh, that's good. That's a really good line, because of course someone else wrote it. Right. And it's, it's just like, what sort of, I understand the idea behind the album. I understand that it's supposed to be this kind of commentary on fame and how difficult it is to be famous, how she wishes she didn't have that, but it's like, that Lana Del Rey loves being famous. That she loves the adoration.
Of course she does. And that's like skipping ahead. I had a note in here that was like, this is the third or fourth song where she talks about throwing it all away and living a life of solitude and no fame. I'm like, bitch, then quit the music industry. Yeah. If it sucks that bad, and I truly believe it does, if it sucks that bad, then just don't do it anymore. Just be done.
Don't let the door hit you.
Yeah, I just I can't handle it. We're 3 songs in, and I'm too goosed up, Geoff.
Well, what do you say we move on to get 4 songs in to "Let Me Love You Like a Woman"? Now, I will start out by saying this one rose to the level of mediocre for me. This rose to the level of, I didn't absolutely hate every second of hearing it, but that's about all the good I can say about it.
That's fair. I have written here, this is the soundtrack to a rich yuppie woman paying to give birth in a yurt. It really does have that, like, bland desert tapestry, boho, horseshit, return to innocence kind of vibe. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes. I think that kind of tells me that when she has a kid, she's going to bring them to the Waffle House that you mentioned, just so that they can understand what life is like for the other side. Just those little tastes, those little moments of seeing what it's like for us poors. That's the kind of a mom she's going to be, I think.
Yeah, oh, definitely, yeah. Sunday, we have appreciation Sundays. We go feed the pavs bread in the park like they're fucking ducks or something. The thing is, this song, the idea, Let Me Love You Like a Woman, that's actually a very interesting concept. It's like, okay, so are you loving me like I'm a woman? Or are you showing me what a woman's love looks like? Because you can tell I've never had it, and I've only ever dealt with shitheads. So you want me to experience the love of a good woman. You're going to love me like only a woman can, and it's going to change my whole fucking life. But fuck that. She is not interested in any of that. She just wants to murmur words into a microphone until a song plops out.
Mm-hmm. She recycles lines for verses, like multiple verses in the same song, so often. And it's just like, obviously you're not spitting out anything worthwhile. Like, Jack Antonoff is trash. So, like, where are good lyrics going to come from between the two of them? The only time there are any good lyrics is when neither of them wrote them on this entire album.
Yeah, the last song on the album is the only passable one because it's a fucking Joni Mitchell cover.
And even that, I've made my stance of being pretty anti Joni Mitchell too. Like, there was no saving grace on this album except for the singer that we'll talk about later that was with her on Breaking Up Slowly.
Oh man,
that singer's voice was good.
Yes, and we'll get to that.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else you want to say, or can we shoot to Wild at Heart?
We can shoot to Wild at Heart.
Here's the surprising thing about this song, Jeff.
Yeah.
I did not hate the music or lyrics here by any stretch. It was the most interesting and listenable song on the album to this point. But it is desperate for a competent vocalist to really inject some life into this.
Yeah.
Lana Del Rey is too bored. She is too detached. I could hear Margot Price doing this. Katie Pruitt would kill this. Grace fucking Potter, Courtney Marie Andrews. There are options of women who could elevate this song. Lana Del Rey, not the one to prosecute that.
No. And that's a very good way to put it, because I think in the hands of a more capable vocalist, this would have been something that may have risen to the level of mediocre, like Let Me Love You Like a Woman did for me, because this was just not good. I mean, there's a couple lines like, I left Calabasas, escaped all the ashes, ran into the dark, and it made me wild, wild, wild at heart. That, to me, doesn't have like the most meaning in the world. Like, it's not going to change your life. It's not some great epiphany. But in the hands of somebody that's a capable singer that can show some nuance and bring some emotion other than just either I've taken too many Xanax or I just sucked in some helium. If they could get anywhere between those two things, this would be so much more effective, and she just can't do it.
She really does sound like the air being let out of a balloon sometimes, doesn't she?
Yeah, and it's like the background whisper vocals on this, like, not only is her lead vocals bad, she decides to then add more layers onto that of more bad vocals, and just doing it in the only way that she's capable of, either that very monotone Xanax voice, or sounds like the air got left out of a balloon. And then you put those two things together, and sometimes two wrongs make a right. Not here. Not this time. No, you got
the wall of bad sound.
Yeah, not this time. We made it up.
How about the one about the shitty indie artist made good?
And the thing is, there's so many more people that are like so much more worthy of the amount of acclaim and success that she's got.
Oh yeah.
So many more.
And
I
I
just
mean,
don't understand why her.
Yeah, I mean, there are people on the come up, like chomping at the bit for a chance to have a career. But you look at any of the women that she specifically named and shamed in her ridiculous post about, like, I'm the ultimate feminist, not these women that shake their big fat asses. Like, any of the women on that list, 10 times out of 10, beat Lana Del Rey into fucking powder, physically and talent-wise. Like, I don't know why she insists on fucking with people the way she does.
Yeah,
She just keeps poking the hornet's nest.
One of my metric for whether someone is a real feminist or someone is more generally a good human being, that generally wants to make sure that people are taken care of, maybe a little anti-capitalist like me, if somebody is going to be someone that Fox News talks a lot of shit about, I'm probably going to be more in agreement with that person than someone that Fox News is going to be like, oh, they're great. They're really, they're the ones that are really speaking the truth. And I have a feeling that Lana Del Rey is the kind of person that is well received with the Fox News crowd.
Let's just put it this way. If my theory about this entire album being a conspiracy theory, like the key to a larger tapestry, is true, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility to suggest that maybe Lana Del Rey is just Tucker Carlson in a wig.
It would make sense that it sounds so terrible to listen to.
It makes a lot of sense. So we don't have time to go into it now. We got to finish the album, but draw your own conclusions, do your own research is what I'm saying.
Maybe we do a little video of that. Just expanding on that conspiracy a little bit, Yeah.
It's just me doing the Pepe Silva with the yarn. You want to move on to Dark But Just a Game, or do you have more to say about Wild at Fart?
I mean, I don't want to move on to any of these, but we must persevere.
Yes, we must.
Yeah, we must. So yeah, Dark But Just a Game. Apparently this was like a tossed off line that Jack Antonoff said, and she was like, "Oh, I like that. We need to put that in the song." Not once but twice. She says Dark But Just a Game, and it's bad.
I mean, again, so we come out of Wild at Heart where I'm like, hey, you know what? I actually have to give her a compliment and be objective about this. And we're right back into the breathy whisper shit and this concept of rejecting your fame. And I say again, unless you are disingenuous as fuck and you don't actually mean this, quit. Stop being famous then. Again, it sounds horrible, so just don't do it. Take the money and run. Don't perpetuate this awful fucking career that you've set up for yourself. I don't know. And this song has major Duran Duran syndrome because it's wildly incompatible, inconsistent elements just strung together like a popcorn necklace of degradation and shame. I hate it. I hated this song. Fuck this song.
Fuck this song. And like you were saying, if she wants so badly to not have the pains of fame, it's like, which I'm going to call into question just how much stress that she gets from the outside world versus how much she invites by the things she says, like that Instagram post where she's like, I'm the only true feminist here. And it's like, wow. In these times right now, which I think that was like smack dab in the middle of the Black Lives Matter like movement really taking off into the stratosphere after George Floyd was murdered. And Breonna Taylor as well. It's like, you think your voice is the one that's needed? It landed about as well as that Imagine video that Gal Gadot and friends decided they were going to do.
Yeah, oh fucking boy. She's completely tone deaf. She has absolutely zero perspective on how this must look to other people, because I guess there's only so many ways I can say she's a shithead who has completely lost touch with her origins and never had to struggle really. So like, again, there's this concept of like, well, you don't know what pain, this stuff might actually affect her. Again, I say, leave. You are not articulating on this album exactly what happened to you and why fame sucks so much. Is it because you open your goddamn fat mouth all the time and people shit on you for your bad takes? Is that what's tough for you? I have a remedy for that. Quit. Leave us alone.
Yeah, or just make your music and leave it at that. You know, it's like, because I can ignore anything. You know, it's hard to ignore when, you know, obviously we do a music podcast as a big release, so it was kind of one of those ones that we had to acknowledge it at some level.
Yes.
But, like, if you're really that worried about it, like, I don't feel like you're at the stratospheric level of fame that, like, what paparazzi is, like, following around Lana Del Rey? You know what I mean? Like,
Imagine that
who's,
day.
like, yeah, like, why? Like, why? Why would anybody do that? So it's like, other than that sort of thing, because if you're able to just go about your day to day, and if you live in LA, like, everybody has seen famous people in LA. Like, nobody's gonna give a shit about Lana Del Rey being in their coffee shop. You know what I mean? It's like it's been there, done that attitude that so many people have there in New York. You know, it's like here in Austin. If you haven't ever seen Matthew McConaughey, you're not a real Austinite. I've like met the guy and talked to him. Like, not a big deal when you see them around. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, why? What about her existence is so difficult? Like, if she does, other than the pain that she brings on herself by opening her mouth about that kind of stuff. It's like, if you just made your music and existed in LA, you would be fine. But why is it that you choose to, I guess it's like, I don't know, maybe it's she wants to matter so badly that she's like, oh, I have the paparazzi after me all the time. And it's like, if we go in her financial records, we'll see that she's paid for all of them to like show up so it looks like she's famous. You know, it's just awful.
Yeah, it's just she went to Pinkberry 9 times one day. Like, that's like, whatever, dude. She sucks. And this is a little tidbit. She talks about how she performed witchcraft on Trump. She's like, oh yes, I performed many spells to hex Trump. And I'm like, gee, thanks. That worked really fucking well.
Yeah,
Because he definitely didn't destroy the fucking country and then peace out.
Yeah, and he's gonna run again in 2024 because you know it's just the way things are gonna go. But we're not a political podcast. We're gonna move on. But man, I just keep getting more and more angry the more we talk about this album.
We're almost done.
Yeah.
We're dead.
Oh God. Not all who wander are lost. Once again, stealing lyrics. So she stole "Candle in the Wind" from Sir Elton John. Not all who wander are lost. I don't know if Tolkien was ever made a knight at all, but I mean, like, what lyrics are you going to write that are any good? Because the best ones on here so far were by somebody else.
Not all those who scroll are horny. Like, that's the best that you can do, you know? There's a free one for you, Lana.
Yeah, I mean, it's awful.
All I had to say about this song is this is ASMR by way of DMB. Dave Matthews Band, for those of you that don't know. This is borderline improvisational. It's like Fish for Karens, and that is all I got.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I hated this song.
Yeah, I fucking hated it. Oh, God. And I mean, I love that quote. It's great. I love Tolkien. And it's a shame that she... I hope Tolkien's estate takes some legal action on this one.
That would be nice. Teach
her
a fucking lesson.
Yeah, I hope they do it. Next one, Yosemite. And I was really hoping, I saw Yosemite, I was like, oh, maybe she's going to write one about Yosemite Sam. And we're going to get a little more whimsical and have some more happiness in this one. Nope, couldn't be so lucky.
No.
Couldn't be so lucky.
Nope, Candle in the Wind comes up again, and I'm like, okay, let's drill down to that. That was a song Elton John wrote about Princess Diana. So is Lana Del Rey comparing herself to Princess Diana, like, oh, the fame, the scrutiny, it was all too much, and this beautiful soul was snuffed out like a candle in the wind. I'm kind of like that. No one appreciates Lana Del Rey. It also fits in very comfortably with, again, my idea of the theme of this album being a conspiracy theory. QAnon the musical. Like, the Diana death conspiracies. It fits right in. There's a lyric, we did it for the right reasons, rationalizing the Royals sanctioning the hit. I mean, what more do you need, guys?
If that's not convincing, then you got mush for brains. Yeah. I mean, maybe there's something where it's like she says no more candle in the wind, reference to Elton John. Maybe there's like some hidden message she's trying to talk about from an Elton John record, where she's like, if you read these lines, you'll get these words. And then with and you'll understand what I'm saying here. Maybe she's like drawing these branches out to these other folks to like throw people off the scent a little bit.
Oh man, it's like National Treasure, except at the end you find another shitty Lana Del Rey album.
Oh man, what a couple of treasure movies those are.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I love those movies. Did I ever tell you about the time that I paid $10 to watch National Treasure 2 by accident?
No, did you want me to cut your head off so you don't have to suffer that embarrassment anymore?
Well, maybe after the pod. So I watched the first one. It's like I love Nick Cage movies. Like,
Sure.
who doesn't? I mean, they're just a good time. You don't expect Oscar-worthy performances, except for Leaving Las Vegas. You don't expect Oscar-worthy performances or writing in those movies. They're just fun to watch, especially the National Treasure movies. So I watched the first one because it was on like streaming, Netflix, one of those ones, whatever it was. And I wanted to watch the second one. It was only on like Stars or Showtime, or a service that I didn't have. So I was like, okay, well, I'll just sign up for like the free week trial and then cancel it, because it's like I had never needed that one before. So I was like, I might as well just do it. I want to watch this movie. It's like cost me nothing other than a couple steps of signing up with an email,
And your dignity.
And lo and behold, 7 days later, I get a notification charged for $9.99 for the Stars app. So I paid $10 to watch National Treasure 2 about 12 years after it came out.
I hope it was worth it, Geoff.
I mean, it was worth it to watch the movie. I don't know if it was worth the $10.
That's a shame.
Yeah, that was not my finest moment. Yeah,
At
least it wasn't a very expensive mistake.
That's true. It could have been worse.
Yeah.
Should we? I feel like we are breaking up slowly. We're running out of steam. Shall we continue this fucking charade with breaking up slowly?
Yeah, I feel the life force draining out of me. And this has been a difficult slog. You want to talk about pain, Lana Del Rey? You want to talk about a challenge when life is throwing tomatoes at you? Because that's what we're dealing with right now, having to not only have listened to your album, but find enough things to fill an entire podcast, to talk about. And it's difficult. It's difficult.
This is horrible. This is like getting yelled at by a Karen in the grocery store. It's like, hey, lady, you can't take all the toilet paper. And she's like, stop touching me, and throws herself to the ground and just wails and wails and holds her knee. And the manager comes out, and it's a whole thing. That is what this album is to me.
I wish this song, Breaking Up Slowly, that she does with the singer Nikki Lane, who I'd never heard of, but certainly going to be more interested in what she does. I don't know anything about her music other than this song, and I do believe that she's got a pretty nice voice. Or maybe it's not that great, but in comparison to Lana Del Rey, it's like angels.
Well, here's the thing. To that point, here's my notes. Ooh, okay, what's this vocal put on here? This is the most interesting vocal performance Lana Del Rey has put into this album. And then I looked into it, and it was in fact another person singing. So Lana just jumps in to help fuck up the chorus. This song sucks. Yeah,
it's really, I mean, I guess at least she does make like a decent backup singer, because that kind of monotone stuff, you put that in the background, can add a nice little layer of flavor. But she's not a great singer on her own. So when you get into her verse, you're like, oh, I forgot how bad she is, especially now that I've heard a good singer. So it was tough. This was a tough one, because I wanted to like it with the voice that other girl had, but just overall couldn't do it.
And I was fully prepared to be like, wow, she actually showed some chops on this song. I'm impressed. If she did this more often, I'd be a little more bullish on her voice.
Yeah.
Her persona sucks, and her music is lazy, and she has a bad taste in producers. But hey, I can cut her a little slack vocally. And she snatched victory out of the fucking jaws of defeat right there, or vice versa.
Yeah. Just awful.
Yeah, bad stuff.
Just awful. Yeah. Moving on, Dance Till We Die. And I thought this one was funny only because they mention on Genius, this is, if y'all haven't realized, like, Genius is a great source for lyrics, because they'll often have interviews and things like that to go along with it, provide you some context. I love it. They specifically say in this track, Lana pays homage to the legendary singer-songwriters Joan Baez, okay, legendary, yes, Joni Mitchell, I don't like her, but yes, legendary, Stevie Nicks, absolutely legendary, and Courtney Love.
Yep.
Courtney Love, like what about Courtney Love? Like, okay, so listeners out there, tell me, when you hear the name Courtney Love, do you think of any of the music that she's ever made, or do you think of the time that she was like throwing makeup cases at Madonna at like the MTV New Year's Eve that time, or any of the interviews that she's done about Kurt Cobain? Like, what's the first thing you think of? If it's not her music, you can't possibly consider her a legendary singer-songwriter. What a terrible thing to say.
And yet, Lana Del Rey being a huge fan of Courtney Love makes all the sense in the world to me. Like, just what a match made in hell.
Yeah,
I can see it.
It's really, really terrible. And again, we have Jack Antonoff. I think he produced like 9 out of the 11 songs on this album or something like that. I mean, he was all over this album, and no wonder it's bad. Because if he had that much influence, like, it couldn't turn out good.
Yes, correct. And I mean, this song, the bridge, honestly, on this song is not bad. I mean, Faint and Damning Praise. Well, the bridge isn't bad. It's not, but it demands an energy and a zeal that she just doesn't bring to it, because she's like, I have to sound bored or people won't be interested. It's very frustrating. Yeah,
what a weird thing to think about. I have to sound bored or people won't be interested.
Yeah, it's part of my aesthetic. I'm too disaffected to care.
Yeah, I hope she runs out of runway real soon with the public, because we can't keep having albums like this. We can't keep doing it.
People are turning on her, and that's hey, whatever part we can play in that, I'll consider that our civic duty.
Good. Yeah. I did see this one got like pretty decent reviews from a lot of places, and I don't know. I feel like they just have, for this sort of album, they'll just have a particular writer on staff that they're like, oh, you review this one, because they know they'll give a positive one, and it will be one that people will hop in and read. But just to me, it's like, what part of this is any good? Like, what part of this really honestly excited you? And please tell me, like, if there's something about Lana Del Rey's music that we are completely missing, that we just, if you have the key that's going to unlock the vault to why Lana Del Rey has been an important musician, like, please tell us. Because to me, at least, and it sounds like to you as well, like, this is a waste of time, this entire album. Like, we can talk about this last song for free, but I can't wait till we're done with this.
All I have to say about For Free, which is, again, a Joni Mitchell cover, I like the song, I like the idea. Lana Del Rey actually acquitted herself well on it, because she wasn't the only singer. Her verse, shockingly, didn't suck. Zella Day takes the first verse. I've heard her before, liked it, thought she was pretty decent. I am a pretty big Wise Blood fan, and unsurprisingly, Wise Blood tailor-made for this song. It's fucking great. When I was saying earlier on Wild at Heart, someone else, you hire a gunslinger to come in and do the song, give it to her. Yeah. That's it. That's all I pretty much have to say about that song, because the song just ends, and with it, the album. It all just stops. Yeah. And I really think if there was just a better singer through this whole thing, like if all these songs were just sung by somebody better, like Wise Blood, it would have been a much better experience. I still don't think I would have like considered it like great by any means, because lyrically it's still just not any good. But at least it wouldn't have been so boring to listen to. And that's the thing overall with this album, because I'm going to absolutely say skip it. Like 100% skip this album. This might be my hardest skip it that I've given on this entire show. I think I like this album less than I like the Taylor Swift album that we did, and way less than the 1975 album that we did, because at least on those there was a couple of things that I was like, oh, that's not bad. Yep. This, I don't think I found really like anything. Nope, I completely agree. I would take Foos, I would take 75, I would take Nifty Swifty, I would take them all before this. This is a new low for the Out on That Line music podcast, for music in general. I hated this album. It sucked. Lana Del Rey is fucking embarrassing, and the two songs that Jack Antonoff has no songwriting credit on, that credit should go to Alex Jones, because this is just more pseudo-intellectual, self-pitying white girl nonsense. Skip it, skip it, skip it. If you get the opportunity to enter into an Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind type situation where you can just forget that she exists and that you've ever heard any of this music, highly encourage you. It is worth the money. This was offensive to me. I had a terrible time.
Yeah, I had an awful time listening to this. And I had a great time with the segment that you did. Had a wonderful time with that. Had a wonderful time talking about Dante winning that contest and how he's going to get himself a couple stickers. I expect you to put one of those stickers right on little baby's forehead, Dante.
Yes.
That's where one of them has to go, and never take it off.
Nope.
He'll grow into it.
Exactly. It will grow into him. It will become part of his skin and thus his identity.
Yes, absolutely. So we'll be getting those stickers out to Dante post haste as soon as the post office gets them to you. We will have to regroup here and recollect ourselves for next time, because this was not fun.
No, this was
not fun at all.
I feel like Ross at the end of Band of Brothers, the guy from Friends, what's his name? Matthew Modine or whatever the fuck. I don't know what his name is. I feel like him at the end of Band of Brothers, just seeing all the guys come back and just that, like, the 1,000-yard stare. Like, this was the most demoralizing experience I've had on this show. And we haven't even had 30 episodes yet.
I just watched that show again, and I cannot remember what his name on that show is.
Who fucking knows? What's his name in real life?
David Schwimmer.
Okay. Yep. There you go.
Yeah. Wow, that's me knowing the name of an actor and not you.
Yeah, I mean, if you listen to the latest Skimbo, I pulled Mark Boone Jr. out of my ass.
That's what I'm talking about. Like, you and Tanner are have the most crazy encyclopedic knowledge of actors and stuff. Like, you guys will pull them out sometimes. I'm like, how the fuck? Like, the only way I was ever going to know that was Google. And that's it.
From some obscure Italian cannibal film. Haven't you seen it?
Apparently, I'm not cultured enough to know all the actors. I'm not cultured enough to know why Lana Del Rey is popular. I guess I feel very empty after this episode. Very empty indeed.
I'm going to put out an open invitation / bounty. Anybody that disagreed with anything we said on this, you have an open invitation to come on and state your case. Yeah,
and we will listen, because I'm truly. It's not, Taylor Swift, I feel like, had no opportunity to succeed on this show. I think we've both kind of made our stance on her very clear for years now. Lana Del Rey, I didn't really have like a strong opinion on either way before this. And then I listened to this album, and I'll tell you what, I got a strong opinion now, and it's not a good one.
I'll tell you what.
Yeah,
I'm actually the reverse. I had an extreme Lana bias going into it. Tried very hard to suspend that, and she did not clear the low bar, which was her previous body of work. Taylor Swift, I was familiar with the hits, whatever, didn't really jam with her. Went into her shit with a much more open mind and found more nice things to say. And I do not detest her as a person to the extent that I do Lana Del Rey. I think Taylor Swift is sheltered. Lana Del Rey is an active Karen.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Because at least, like, I feel like Taylor Swift doesn't really put her foot in her mouth a lot. You know what I mean? I feel like she stays pretty quiet most of the time.
Yeah, I mean, she just likes a good snuggly sweater and a cute boy with good bone structure. Like,
yeah, and some good tea.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Lana Del Rey is trying to destroy America.
Yeah,
if you ask me, for my opinion.
Yeah, it's just really bad. So we're gonna end it. We're gonna end talking about this album. Again, like, if you have a legitimate reason why you think this album is good, please tell us. We would love to hear it. We will be absolutely fair with what you say. Unless we don't like what you say, then we will be absolutely unfair about it. But
sure,
we will be open to having you on. If you feel like you have a strong case, if you feel like you have a good reason why this is what you consider a good album, like, please tell us, because maybe there's something we're not understanding about it. Maybe you can, like, light that candle for us and light up the rest of why this was a good album. Because I don't see it. I don't think I'm going to see it. I'm open to finding out what you think. So please let us know. And also, please watch our YouTube videos, which you'll find by using hashtag out on that line in the search bar. We're inching ever closer to that plateau we need to get to have our very own personal URL on YouTube. Not there quite yet, but we are inching week by week, scratching and clawing. We're going to make it there, but for right now, you search hashtag out on that line, you find us. You'll find our podcasts anywhere you want to listen to podcasts, Spotify, Apple Music, Anchor, any of those. Send us an email, outonthatline@gmail.com. Get us on Instagram at outonthatline, on Twitter at outonthatline1. We're even on Facebook. So wherever you do your social media, we'll even send a pigeon to your house if you want. We'll do whatever you want. Just let us know what you want to hear. Talk to us about this Lana Del Rey album if you're a Lana Del Rey fan. Just, let us understand. Let us understand you.
Yeah, yes, please. I have nothing further, Your Honor. I'm going to go have a good cry and try to end my night.
Yes, yeah. I was just noticing that we're bumping up against it time-wise, so I was like, we gotta wrap this one up. We could talk some bad things about this album for the rest of the night, and I would be happy to do it. Well, I'm not happy to do it, but I would be capable of doing it. So I figured now is a good time to go ahead and end the episode. Remind everybody, let us know what you want to hear. Keep those album submissions coming. Keep your eye out for new contests. We're going to be brainstorming. We're going to be coming up with some stuff. And we're going to come up with some good stuff. We have a very talented artist here with Alex, so we're going to take full advantage of that. I got him his own nice little sweatshop up there in Barrie, Vermont. So he's going to be cranking this stuff out for us. And for you, if you win the contest, it'll be free. And maybe there's going to be some stuff to purchase shortly down the line here. So keep your eye out for that. And until next time.